Hello, it's Michael here from Simply Red, and you're watching Project Nigel.
Yes, that's me.
Nothing to worry about.
Today's job is removing this sunroof from Project Larry. And do you know what's curious? Is that old car smell I was talking about is still actually in here a bit. I mean, it's gone a bit, but I don't understand how it's possible. Look around it. There's 2 bits of carpet left over and a couple of seals, and that is it. So where's that smell coming from? Well, the sunroof is now dangling from its drain tubes because they don't come off very easily. Otherwise, that's a very straightforward job. Simply 6 8mm bolts holding it on. And there we have a lovely Rover 800 sunroof out of the car. Sunroofs do seem like an odd choice to have on your car, really. Part of the options tick box, certainly in this country. Obviously today is a sunny day, but most days aren't, and we know that. And because most days aren't and we just have rain instead, it causes this. That's terrible. That, you know, basically a screwdriver straight through the roof really easily there. And that wouldn't happen if it didn't have a sunroof. Look at all that falling out. Crusty, rusty bits. That's just with my hand as well. With old Rovers, you really don't need hammers, you just need your hands, you just need your fists. It's quite funny when people talk about, oh, I'd have restored that. You know, it's not too good to scrap, all this kind of thing. With many jobs, they can be fixed, but that really you can't fix that, can you? It needs a whole new car. And if you're going to have a whole new car, a whole new shell, then you're going to need a whole load of spares to put on it. And in which case, you're going to need cars like this to provide all those spares. Gosh, what happened there, you may be thinking. Suddenly it's night time. Where did the day go? I had to dash off earlier on, so the plan for the day become a very different day altogether. But never mind, because now it's night time and I'm returning from the shops. And when I get in and I can snip together the little bits of video I've got, you know, actually on there, then I'm going to drink some beer and have a chat. Let's have a little chatty end. A beer review and a chat. How nice. Yes, hello. For the rest of this video, I am hoping to not need to do much editing, so I can just bung it all on the end of the bit that I've got there, so that I'm not fumbling around too long. So what's happening is beer. That's right, beer. And there it is. There's only 2 there. I'll have a couple afterwards if these go down really well. So these are 2 homebrews sent by my friend Ali Mack. Now the labels aren't the most professional, but I'm more interested in the contents. So this one is called Stout, and I'm going to crack it open. It's not particularly lively. And normally I'd have all of my beers slightly chilled, but as these are live beers, I didn't want to disturb the yeast. Oh look, and it's actually disturbing itself ever so slightly now. Now because I haven't got 3 hands, I'm going to have to put my phone down so I can tip some of this out. Oh gosh, it's coming out all over the place. I must admit I did a terrible job of filming the pouring of this stout. Now, let's investigate its qualities. So, how does it smell? It smells a bit stouty and a bit yeasty as well. But then it would do, wouldn't it, if it's got yeast in the bottom of the bottle. Now, I'm going to have a little drink of this. And I'm going to be completely honest. If I think it's awful, I'm going to say so. Which might seem a bit ungrateful, but you know, there's no point in me pretending that I like it if I don't. So here we go. Well, that's actually really good. Well, quite surprised by the amount of depth to that, actually. It's I was expecting it to be like I don't know, a bit more generic stoutiness with that kind of deep roast kind of smell and taste to it, and not a great deal of anything else. I've always liked a bit of Guinness, but I've never been completely mad on this stuff, and often found it's a bit lacking in something. But this has got had a fruitiness to it as well. So could that fruitiness be something added deliberately, or could it be something that's gone wrong? I'm not really sure. I'm drinking a bit too quickly here. It's definitely got some of the kind of homebrew kind of edge to it. It doesn't taste particularly refined. It tastes like more like just proper beer rather than something that's been messed about with further and further until you just end up with this thing that tastes a bit like everything else. I'm impressed. I am. I really like it. Okay, I'm going to drink the rest of it. Well, I've looked about half of this bottle of stout so far, and already I can feel its effects. So I reckon you can get quite drunk on this stuff, actually. And now, the only trouble with the live ale, when you get drunk on that, you're more likely to have a visit from Mr. Trotts in the morning. I'm supposed to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning because Mr. Craig is coming down to pick up a bonnet and a couple of other bits. But I'm already considering that I might not really be up for it, which means I've got to try and find a way of delivering it to him instead. And, well, the bonnet off a Rover R8 doesn't quite fit into the boot of a Rover 25. And the only thing I can think of is to strap it to the roof. Now the thing is, that might be quite an interesting thing to do. One small mistake I've made drinking this is I've used a small glass. Really what I'd have been better off doing is using a pint glass, tipping the whole lot in. Because every time you tip this, you end up with a bit more yeast coming out. And that should effectively change the flavour of it slightly. Maybe for the better. Probably not though. I can't tell the difference though. It's kind of getting a bit more bitter the further I go along. But here's the point, or here's the question. Honestly, I'm not drunk, not yet. Is this beer good enough for me to buy? And the answer is yeah, I think I would. If that was available in the shops, I'd pick it up and buy it. So there we go, 1 point, or 5 points. I don't know, add as many points as you like. Might be a good time to mention actually, I did have a few visitors at work today. I had a chap called Brandon come down who I don't believe he knows about my YouTube videos. He came down in his Land Rover and I fitted a new seatbelt for him. And he brought some coffee and milk. I have that sort of stuff. It's beer that I don't have. And then Josh, hello Josh, hello, who came down, that was his ZS just there. He came down and brought me some pork pies. Very, very appreciated. And my dad as well, who came down and we had a chippy. Now Brandon's quite an interesting character. When I first met him, I bought a Vauxhall Corsa off him that was broken. And he lives on a farm. And he said to me that he could actually just take the thing apart himself and make some money out of it. But he's just more interested in playing with cows' tits. Now this beer is supposed to be 6.9%. And I've got to say, I think it's a bit more. You can let me know. I mean, when you bottle condition a beer, it can make it quite a bit stronger. But it doesn't taste like it's just alcohol or anything like that. But I do actually feel quite a bit tipsy on it. more than I'd expect to do for a beer of that strength. Obviously it's quite high, but you know, I'm sure it's more. Right, going off my own advice, I got a new glass out. A pint glass this time, a Bombardier glass. Other not particularly interesting beers are available. Now this time I decided to kneel down on the floor so I can do this so you can actually see what I'm doing. And excuse the sound of the washing machine. Tippy taps. So that's it. There is the dark ale in the glass, the whole lot. This one's not got the fuzziness on the top of the other one, but we have got an out of focus camera. Oh no, it's in focus now. That was kind of a reasonably good reflection on how that one bottle of stout has already made me feel. Anyway, on with drinking of the dark beer. Well, I've got to say I much prefer the stout. I'm going to give this a few more sips and see what happens. Still, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. Just the stout was particularly good. Now I do like to see that there's bits of yeast. Oh, come on, get back in focus, please. Come on, stop it. That's rather annoying. That is. If I stand back a bit further, it might work better and just zoom in. We can see it bubbling away because there's yeast still in there. So it's producing its own nitrogen dioxide, giving it that slight fizz. I wasn't really expecting this, to be honest. One of two things has happened here. Either these two beers of Ali's are much stronger than what he told me they are, or all the other beer manufacturers and stuff you buy in the supermarkets are lying about how much alcohol is actually in their beer, because I'm quite used to having a couple of beers. I really am. And I can manage more than two very, very easily. But at the moment, I'm actually really properly feeling the effects. And that's how much is left of the second one. So what's going on here? It's kind of strange. Now the more I drink this one, the more I'm starting to like it. My first taste, I wasn't entirely sure, if I'm absolutely honest. But it kind of reminds me of, it tastes a bit like hobgoblin, but with the edges not surrounded off. It's like a homebrew version of hobgoblin. Now I wonder if that's how it's supposed to be. I'm sure you'll tell me if it is. Maybe I hate hobgoblin and that's an insult. If it is, I'm sorry. But that's how it's coming across. Right, I think this is going to be the last clip before I just basically upload the video and go and relax. So by the time you watch this video, I will probably still be feeling a bit pissed. Now, what I will say about this is that kind of homebrew flavour to it is something that did put me on to quite a few beers when I was much younger. Namely stuff like Riddles County, that had that kind of woody kind of aftertaste to it that reminded me of my dad's homebrew. And ever since then I've liked stuff that's kind of edgy, a bit more than just this, you know, generic beer flavour that I've talked about before. And you can probably tell by the way I'm talking here that I need to go and sit down. So, thank you very much, and I'm going to finish this off, and I hope you enjoy watching this video. And thank you very much to Mr. Ali Mack for sending me these beers at such a great expense.